Just imagine that. The same Gumi that has always stood in the gap for bandits, and even Boko Haram now wants Nigerian government to destroy IPOB. Popular Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has proposed the training and arming of youths in the southeast to combat the activities of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB. In an interview with Blueprint, Sheikh Gumi suggested that the most effective way to address terrorism and crises in the southeast is by deploying young individuals familiar with the terrain against insurgents. He cited the examples of Asari Dokubo and Tompolo in the Niger Delta, who were transformed from warlords into protectors of government investments in the creeks and enforcers against unrepentant criminals. According to him, the use of full military force in regions with high civilian populations often leads to the loss of innocent lives, making it an ineffective strategy. Instead, he called on states in the north to negotiate with bandits as a pathway to achieving relative peace in the region. When questioned about the fate of bandits who refuse to lay down their arms despite peace efforts, Sheikh Gumi said, "You see, it is very easy. Just like I mentioned earlier, Tompolo and Mujahid Asari Dokubo are in the creeks, and if anybody tries to misbehave, who deals with them? They handle it easier than the military, because when the military comes, they can't differentiate between the grain and the chaff. They deal with everyone indiscriminately. But these individuals know exactly who is misbehaving and take care of them. Likewise, for IPOB, if you can get very good Igbo youths, train and arm them, they can handle the situation effectively." The same Gumi who said bandits are not Boko Haram insurgents, but people pushed into crime by poverty, and even went further to warn the government to be very careful in handling their case to prevent their being lured by Boko Haram. He said that unlike Boko Haram insurgents with international connections and resources, bandits are victims of circumstances. The clergy, who has for some months been in the eye of the storm for negotiating freedom of persons kidnapped by bandits, spoke during a television program monitored in Lagos by The Nation. Gumi said, "I can say categorically that they are not Boko Haram, but we have to be very careful because if the pressure is too much on them, they can be lured by the Boko Haram. Boko Haram insurgents are more internationally connected and richer. If the pressure is too much, I am afraid they can be influenced by Boko Haram, and we have seen the signs that Boko Haram have gone to infiltrate them, but so far, they are not Boko Haram. They are ready to lay down their arms. When I listened to them, I found out that it is a simple case of criminality that turned into banditry, which turned into ethnic war. And some genocide too behind the scene people don't know. There is no excuse for any crime, nothing can justify crime, and they are committing a crime. The herdsmen bandits, he noted, were engaged in an ethnic war against other peoples, including sedentary Fulani." Sheikh Gumi said, "I think it is a population that is pushed by circumstances into criminality, and this is what we should look for. Let's remove the pressure, let's remove the things that made them criminals, because we have lived thousands of years without any problems with nomadic herdsmen. They are peaceful people, but something happened that led them to this. It is a complex issue that Nigerians need to understand. The solution is very simple, but it's not military hardware. The solution is dialogue and teaching. These people are acting with natural instincts, not special knowledge, and they don't have any ambition or anything. They don't have a vision of the future. They are talking about existence. Their livelihood is destroyed because of the cattle rustling that was going on for a long time. They are the first victims of it. So we need to investigate how cattle rustling became a big business in Nigeria and how it affected the socio-cultural behavior of the nomadic Fulani. They were pushed into criminality. And today, this same so-called Islamic cleric I should say, that calls himself Gumi, is now advising the government to use Igbo youths to destroy IPOB. Never ever mentioned anything about peace and negotiation. As with the bandits and even Boko Haram, he wants outright destruction of IPOB just because it is about Igbos. Well, wait for another 100 years to be able to achieve that. Biafra is here to stay. Stay tuned and have a blessed Sunday.
It has an etiology. It has a reason why it became. And you cannot cure it without looking into the causes and treating the underlying cause of the banditry. You cannot suppress it. You have to deal with the cause. Otherwise, it will metamorphose into something else. We have seen that with Boko Haram, specifically. When their leaders were shot, then they took off arms. Instead of broken peace with them, which many, even former head of state, did that. We recalcitrantly followed, fighting them, killing them, killing them, and now it's 12 years. We are yet to finish them, and they are still causing havoc. Just recently, they killed a brigadier. So I don't want that same experience in Northeast to happen in Northwest again. Because when you are talking about the herdsmen, bandits, they have their grievances, they lost their cattle, extortion, killings, lynching, profiling, they all complain about that. Now, if you term them as terrorists and they merge with the Boko Haram, because they say birds of the same feathers flock together, if we call them like that and they hear, then it will be a big problem for them, and it will put an impetus to Boko Haram in the Northeast, because they share the same destiny. Tell you somebody is a terrorist means you are stripping him of citizenship, you are condemning him to death on sight. You don't give him a fair trial. That is a terrorist. And if you treat them like this, I think instead of having the problem cured, is going to compound it, because they have not really started that real terrorism, like destroying power lines, destroying like they did in Boko Haram did in Maiduguri. Since January, there's no light. They have not started attacking railways, attacking people in market. They have not started doing that. Now we are pushing them. We people naively are pushing them because of their rejection. I reject criminality, and I don't justify criminality at all. But you see, you have to minimize it using your psyche, using psychology. But if we say we follow the whims of politicians, then they are going to destroy this country. So we don't want to push them into that terror beyond what they are doing now, because yes, it can get worse. That is when they start attacking towns, destroying infrastructure and other things like that. This is what we don't want, and they have shown us their willingness to negotiate. So people that are ready to negotiate, why are you rushing to just declare them bandits so that you can use whatever weapons you bought? I think it's not moral, it's very unethical of us to pursue that line. No, it will make it worse. Worse in the sense that now they can ally themselves with Boko Haram because they're all in the same book. Before, they used to catch Boko Haram and present them to the authorities in Zamfara. But now if they're all terrorists, secondly, the only door that remains, that is we clergy to go in and negotiate with them, is closed down permanently, because I will not take myself again to contact them, because it means you are aiding terrorists. So you see, the government has for itself closed the only door of confidence they have. Because they have confidence in us, we can gather them all, we can speak with them. Now we have to desert them. In fact, no way we speak with them until when they are not declared as terrorists, you know. So yeah, the government is closing a door of negotiating. This is what we are saying. Profiling is wrong. Generalization is always wrong. In fact, just 2 days ago, somebody told me a boss came to Kaduna here. A young man came down and he was immediately arrested by the security agents, just like that, on site, because he looks like a herdsman. And this is happening everywhere. In front of me, it has happened. And this is wrong. And this are part of the agitation. They've said it. They told us this is part of our agitations. We are arbitrarily arrested and sometimes even killed extrajudicially. I think until when we address this injustice, I don't see future in having peaceful resolution to this conflict. The solution is engagement. Engagement, engage them, address their grievances, make them feel belonging to the nation, bring them out of the den of their criminality by dislodging them. How do you dislodge them? Easily. Just give their children, their women, their distant employment, teach them, educate them. They will leave the forest. But we have done nothing of that. Only that some few governors have tried doing some amnesty, in quotation, by giving them some few money for some rifles they give. This is not enough. There has to be a program of rehabilitation, a program of reconciliation with the different villages and tribes that have been at war with. And there has to be reparation of those victims. You see, on both sides. If government is actively involved in this, I think we'll have sanity. Just like what we have relative peace in the south with the Niger militants.